I am a survivor. But more than about myself, I was spared every and any camp. So I'm not speaking as a camp survivor.
Okay.
I'm speaking as a survivor thanks to the humanity of other people. Would you like to hear that or not?
Yes, please, Lily.
And when I say humanity, I mean in capital H. I was saved by a German civil servant, a lady, who saved myself, my mother, and another couple. And when she was back, that was in what is today Lviv, which is the Ukraine, but then was Lvov, that was Poland at the time, occupied by the Germans. And by that time I had lost my father, my little brother of 6. They were denounced for just my father's watch, which the policeman rather fancied, and they were sent to Auschwitz, which, as you know, was a death camp. And my mother and I were the only survivors of a very large family. I would like to speak about those amazing, extraordinary, ordinary people who helped to save lives,
Please.
Who helped by giving a tiny piece of bread to some child. And as you know, in Poland was the only country that was death penalty for helping, hiding,
yes.
aiding any Jew. That was the only country occupied by the Germans that had death penalty for it. Now, people like that should be really glorified. There is no such medal that can be, that hasn't been invented yet, despite the fact that 27,000 of them have dead trees in Jerusalem. But there are a number of people who didn't wish to be rewarded for it, because they think and they thought it was a normal, decent, human reaction.
Gosh, so we don't want any congratulations because what we did was normal.
Exactly.
This is what you mean when you said...
They don't consider themselves heroes.
Oh, boy.
I consider them the heroes from this war, because they didn't fight with weapons. They fought with their heart. And that's why I wanted to speak to you, because you are a person who has a lot of empathy.
You're very kind.
I find you have a lot of empathy. You have a heart.
Stop
and
it.
I always wanted to speak to you, but I never managed to get through. However,
better
this
late.
is very important.
I'm going to give you the secret number. I'll give you the secret number for the future, so you can get through whenever you want, Lily. So tell me what these people did for you, and what do you remember? Because you were so young.
My mother was a slave, or what is known as a slave labor, which you will know these things, of course. And she worked for a civilian, like civil service, which was also, in the town where we were.
Yeah.
It wasn't only the police and the Gestapo and SS and the Wehrmacht, and so, but they also brought civil servants. And my mother worked for such an institution as a slave labor.
Good grief.
I escaped from the ghetto because my mother was outside and they were closing the ghetto and taking people coming in directly to Auschwitz. And I knew I had to go and prevent my mother from coming back. I was 11 years of age. And I managed, by some miraculous forces or God above or something, my father, my brother were with me. I managed to escape from the ghetto to prevent my mother from coming back. And now my mother was with me, and we didn't know what to do. So my mother...
Well, did you met her outside work or something like that?
At work, yes. My mother took me with her to
And
work.
how old were you, Lily, at that moment? How old were you?
11.
Oh, my youngest is 11.
Well, you know, that's how it was.
I know.
That's how it was. No, there are, I speak mostly to young children, and I want to tell them something good about that time, not only the horrors, because I don't want to be too graphic for young children, 10 to 13.
You're amazing.
So I tell them about good people at that time. And this lady, worked there. She was the top secretary, German, very good looking, young and so on. And she looked at me and obviously took pity because I was in pyjamas and in a little cardigan and in slippers in November. Snow was very deep and I must have looked accordingly, and I don't know. And my mother asked her, would she take us in for a few days while this selection, so known, is on. And then we'll go back to the ghetto. And at first she was shocked. So, do you know what you're asking me? How dare you ask me such a thing? But after the second time, my mother had, out of desperation, asked the German. Can you imagine? Out of desperation. Yeah. And she took us in. And then she would not allow me to go back. She said, I will, if you need to go back, you're a grown-up person, you may, but Lily, I'm not going to give you Lily. It would be too sad if the Gestapo caught her. So she kept me and wanted to adopt me.
Where did you sleep? Forgive me for interrupting. Where did you sleep and stuff? How did they hide you?
Who?
The woman who took you in would have to...
No, at work. She was where my mother was working.
I see.
She was one of the top secretaries.
Yes.
And my mother was working as a dressmaker there. And she liked what my mother was doing for her. What my mother was working there, and she liked what my mother was making for her. And she took us in out of the kindness of her heart. But she was shocked to begin with when my mother asked her. But it was a shocking question to her. She didn't even know what it was all about at the time. And then she had us. I can't go into all the details. And then when she was being evacuated back to Germany, when the Russian front was coming closer, she said she's got to find a place for us to go, and we did. And then we went and were saved again by people of, I don't know, of great humanity and enormous courage, and that was the Archbishop Metropolitan of Greek Catholic Metropolitan of the town. He took us in and put us into a convent, one of their convents, and this man, thanks to him, 150 lives were saved. He saved little children who were orphaned and put them into monasteries, boys into monasteries and girls into convents. Or if somebody happened to not to be a child anymore or something, to a convent. And these people deserve everything. I mean, he endangered the entire clergy.
And it's funny. Do you know?
It wasn't only the person who helped; it was the person who helped and all the families that went.
Everybody would have been punished. Everybody would have been killed.
These things, and that's why I so very much wanted to talk to you. Well, I spoke last night. I wish that these people would invite you to a commemoration like we have today at Westminster. I wish that they would invite you. Do you know of a man called Jan Karski?
No, I don't. I'm sorry.
You didn't hear. Oh, there you are. Today, this was a Christian, an emissary, Polish emissary from the underground movement, sent during the war to Churchill and to Roosevelt with a microfilm to show what the situation is for the Jews in Poland and to help.
Do you know?
Churchill did not see him because Eden would not. He was here for 3 to 4 weeks waiting, then 5 weeks waiting. Eden would bar his entrance to Churchill. No, war was more important. Okay. He went to Roosevelt, and Roosevelt did see him, and so on. Today there is a monodram. If you'd like to come, my God, it's something for you, I assure you. At the Queen Mary University in Milan Road at 7:30. Oscar-nominated actor is coming from Hollywood for one night only, and does a monodram on Jan Karski, which is supposed to be something Totally
well,
outstanding.
I promise you I will find out a lot more.
I wish that a person like you could see it.
Well, I will.
And also a person like you should be invited to our functions.
Well, I think you're being too kind. You're being too kind to me, Lily. You really are.
No,
I don't want to talk about me.
I promise you, I'm not.
Oh, well.
When I listen to you, I know why I listen to you. I know exactly why. I'm not going to go into details because I don't want to embarrass you. But I just want to tell you, I speak to children at schools, 10 to 13 or 14, and I speak very often to Muslim children.
Yes.
You cannot imagine the interest of these children in what I have to say. I don't speak about me, no. No, I do not. I don't like to stand up, talk about myself. No. I speak about the wonderful people who in such horrendous, darkest of times showed humanity, who were good, helped somebody else. You can't imagine. You could hear a pin drop, how these children listen, and what letters they write to me afterwards. I want to do a book out of these letters. By hand, not only in the internet, by hand. Beautiful. If you saw it, you'd cry.
Well, yeah,
beautiful.
Funny you say that.
I can tell you, and the questions that they ask me are so relevant, which I know how they listened attentively, Muslim children. And so I have hope that this world, thanks to such children, a little boy wrote to me, I was 11, and he wrote, I always wanted to be a doctor. But now, when I've heard you, I want to be a teacher. I want to teach children like you are telling us the things that maybe, because this world is very, very evil, and I want to make it better. Now, doesn't that make you cry?
Lily, it does, actually, quite literally. And you've done something...
because I'm crying when I think, and I don't even know which boy wrote it. He signed his name, but...
You touched his life in a way that he'll never forget. And you remind us all when we sit here and struggle with... to retain our faith in human nature when we read about what was done to your father and your brother and millions of others. You focus on the people that helped. That's how you cling on to your faith in human nature, isn't it? For all the tragedies and all the atrocities, there will always be somebody there risking their own safety to help others, for no reward other than knowing that they've done what is right.
No reward whatsoever. In fact, somebody offered this German woman some good money for taking a person in, and she was so irate. She was so angry. How dare you offer me money? How dare you? If the Gestapo get me for Lily, because I have Lily here, well, if I die, then all right, I wanted to save a child, but to offer me money?
Good grief.
So there are wonderful people in this world, only nobody is talking about them.
Well, we are.
And I've just put up 3. Yes, I know. That's right. That's why I'm calling you. Gosh. And that's why I'm calling you. And I just wish that you could come. And how can I possibly have people? I mean, I would
I'll do whatever you want me to do, Lily. I'll run 100 miles for you in my bare feet. Stay on the line, and we'll get in touch. I'm very lucky to be involved with the Anne Frank Trust. I do have a lot of contact and involvement in various areas, but it would just very, very simply be an honour to meet you.
I thank you very much.
No, I thank you. Can I ask you one question?
Please, you can ask me anything. Absolutely.
Did you keep in touch with the German lady? Did you have any contact with her after?
Oh, my God. I found her. That's a film, how I found her after the war. Of course I did. I found her in a Russian camp in Czechoslovakia.
Can I sit down with you on another day and do...
You are...
And we do a proper... Can I interview you?
May I tell you, this is the loveliest thing I will hear today. You may sit down with me any time that suits you.